This week on the Game Marks podcast, we end our first year with a bang. We are playing WCW NWO Revenge for the N64. Will this classic hold up? Is it a guaranteed play it forever? Or is someone gonna future endeavor?
You're fired!
Plug in, put on those nostalgia goggles, because the 1 year episode of the Game Marks podcast starts now.
And now, the Game Marks!
This is Justin Leeper, one-time Game Marks guest and three-time Mr. Road to WrestleMania for WWE SmackDown vs. Raw. Now I hear that the Game Marks is celebrating 1 year of existence, and I'm here to congratulate them. Now I had long bestowed gifts upon these humble hosts. You see, living in Japan the past 4 years, I've embraced the country's senpai-kohai dynamic, where the senior senpai looks after the junior kohai and bestows wisdom upon them. To Johnny, I gave my skills as an independent wrestler. To George, I passed on my gaming abilities from years as a game journalist and game designer. But these gifts come with a price. The boys have been made to play some truly awful, truly terrible wrestling games for this podcast, to entertain us with their misery. But I think it's a small price to pay, don't you? To the Game Marks, I say omedetou gozaimasu for 1 year, and here's to many more years of game markitude.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast. This is the man they call Johnny Clash.
And I am your reigning, defending, undisputed Clash at the Feast champion, Mr. Play It Forever himself, George Feast.
I dispute it, actually. So you're not undisputed. I dispute it, but it's fine.
Yeah, but you can't, like, you can try, but there is no dispute. And this week, ladies and gentlemen, we are playing WCW vs. NWO Revenge for the N64.
I'm going to take it up with management, but as always, we love to hear from you guys, so please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast wherever you choose to listen, and join the conversation on social media at Game Marks Pod. Georgie, we did it. We made it through an entire year. 1 year ago on this exact day of recording, we sat here. We barely knew each other. I had a stupid microphone that sounded like a tin can. We sat in the same spot playing WCW versus NWO World Tour. Not a clue. I listened to the raw footage of that, or the raw sound of that the other day, the audio. We had no idea what the hell we're doing. Not like we do now, but at least we have some sort of structure. But
we're
man,
a little bit more
what a ride
seasoned.
it's been.
A little more seasoned. First things first, I just want to say this. Congratulations, John.
For putting
congratulations. No, just congratulations on a year of podcasting. I mean, a wise old owl from another podcast sprinkled some knowledge many moons ago and said, if you can do a podcast for more than 10 episodes, I believe, you're in the clear, you've made it over that hump, and it just becomes something that you do, becomes a part of your life, and it doesn't feel like a chore. And I would like to say that I don't think that this podcast has ever felt like a chore. First episode, 10 episodes, 52 episodes. To me, this has always been fun. It's the whole reason we decided that we wanted to do this. And I can't imagine doing this with anybody else. And it's so weird to think that this all started from some Twitter beef.
You're making me cry. Okay, so I think we need to elaborate exactly how this came to be.
Okay.
So, I am a good friend of Smart Mark Sterling, Nick Stapp. I'm not going to say Troy Nelson because we're not good friends. He doesn't even know my name. But I had made the original OG Off the Hop Rope logo. And then all of a sudden one day, there's just all this new artwork, a new logo, a new promo pic. I'm like, what the hell is this? And this guy, George, made it. But before this, let's go back at least another year or two. I was making Smart Mark's ring gear. Then you started making his ring gear. Then I was stealing your logo. Then you stole my VSK logo for his t-shirt. And it's just been a whole mess since. So we started off with a little feud on Twitter, I guess. I was calling you the Janetti when I was the Sean. We were going back and forth for a while. I've met you many times. I wouldn't say many times, but like times. Here and there at bars, parties, whatever. Like when everyone would get together.
I remember at Mark's birthday one time at Creative Pro, I had given Mark a Money in the Bank lunchbox, and I believe he was the current Cap champion, and he had just he'd beaten Caster for it, or you for it.
He beat Caster because I hit Caster with the belt.
I gave you his lunchbox to cash in, and I played ref, and I believe you gave him a stunner, and he kicked out.
Yep, something like that. But a year later, look at us.
Yeah.
We posted the Twitter thread the other day of how it all happened.
And I think we're borderline friends now.
We're borderline, yeah, borderline.
Almost,
I guess you're wearing my t-shirt right now, so I guess we're friends.
Almost friends.
But think of the other ideas we would have done, like that you suggested. I don't think we would have had nearly as much fun doing any of those as, obviously, wrestling video games, because here we are today, still playing wrestling video games. Yeah, none of those had quite the traction that I would have hoped for, but I mean, there are even some people that say that wrestling video games has a lifespan and a shelf life, but to that I say, there is a whole big world out there of more than just wrestling games, and as we've talked about many times on this podcast, Game Marks is not limited to just wrestling. Game Marks is just for video games. Ooh. Spoiler alert. But anyway, I want to take just a quick second before we continue. I want to thank everyone that's helped us along the way, because whether it's me pestering Smart Mark at midnight, just panicking over something with the audio, or, hey, what words do you censor? Because now I don't censor shit because I don't feel like censoring shit. So Bobby Orlando, Philip Cardigan, Max Caster, Liam Davis, Bear Bronson, Smart Mark Sterling, Chris Statlander, the Justin Leeper, the man you heard at the beginning of this podcast, Mike Herman of RetroSoft Studios, and of course Brian Myers and Matt Cardona. Thank you for being on the show. Of course, there was also Jay George, there was Aaron Rourke, Kenny G, the oboe playing bastard. Oh God, how could you not? You can't forget the oboe section. You can't. Then, we've had sponsors and friends that just helped us promote. We got to thank VGF Gamers. We got to thank Space Zamboni, because, honestly, Space Zamboni from the start have been so supportive. They're friends of mine from high school. I always plug them here. Check them out. Check out all their stuff. They have books on Amazon. They're always doing crazy stuff. They were the first ones to say, hey, I'm putting you on our website. We're promoting you. So we greatly appreciate that. There's the Caught Looking podcast, friends of mine. We play their ad, they play ours. We love them. They, I think, love us. The Major Wrestling Figure podcast, they've been extremely supportive. Of course, Off the Hop Rope, mostly because Max Smashmaster trashes us, but also because without us doing those contrasting logos, we would never be here today. That's true. WCW Worldwide on Twitter, thank you. Just a simple retweet can go miles. I think we've gained a ton of listeners just from that, a ton of follows. Thank you very much. Wrestling Cheers. Now, that's a listener of the pod. He promotes us. I did an interview with him last week where, surprisingly, we didn't talk much about wrestling on a wrestling podcast. I think we talked about Dexter for 2 hours, so check that out. Yeah, but you try to do that on our podcast, too, so I'm not surprised. You just had someone that actually fed into it. Yeah, I was going to say the difference between this podcast and your interview with Justin Summers is that he fed into it, and you guys just went off the rails. I try to keep some traction here. I think we're doing pretty good at corralling each other, because both of us are known for going on tangents every now and then. Off the record, but on the record, since we're recording this, there's been many a times where you go on rants where I just completely take it out of the episode. Yeah, I think, and I just go, hey, I feel like I was ranting, and I kind of went on for a lot longer than I should have. And you're like, yep, I'm already marking where I'm cutting out. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah.
But I will say this, going back to Off the Hop Rope, there was a moment, I want to say maybe like 4 months before we started the podcast, where I was at a brewery with the Off the Hop Rope boys, all three of them. Troy had made the trip up or down. He's from Massachusetts. And we were at a brewery, and I had said something along the lines of, oh yeah, that's why Johnny Clash hates me. And they said, no. You may think that you have some fake Twitter beef, but that's shoot. That's some shoot, some shoot heat that you got there. And
not true.
And I was convinced. I was like, I thought all of this was just in good fun. And like Mark, Nick, and Troy had me convinced that you actually were mad at me. And I was like, dude, we go back and forth on Twitter and it just seems all playful. And Mark's like, no, man, like that's like legit heat that you got there. Like everyone at Cap knows who you are, and that Clash doesn't like you. And I was like,
all right, I have to stop you there because funny story. So obviously when we get new gear and stuff, we all like to send it to each other. Like, hey, look at this design. What do you guys think of this? To like the wrestling guys. So Mark would start sending stuff. I'd be like, oh, who made that, Mark? He'd be like, my friend George. My friend George. My friend George. My friend George. So then eventually, like, when you're in like a Facebook chat, you could put up a vote for something. So it'd be like, which match do you like better? Blah, 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 blah. But someone would always add in the option, Mark's friend George, and it would always win. So that's why like everyone knew who you were, because it just became a running joke that everything was Mark's friend George.
Okay, so that's going to be a shirt. That will be my first honorary shirt that is specifically to me. I want a shirt that just says, I'll make Smart Mark's logo, and it'll just say, Smart Mark's friend George.
But speaking of shirts, last Friday at 12 p.m., we put out our exclusive 1-year t-shirt, our print, and our masks and stickers. It all went on sale on our TeePublic store. Check it out. You can go on GameMarksPod.com. You could click merch, or you can go on GameMarksPod.com/shop. And it's all there, guys. Thank you so much to everyone that has bought it so far. We are going to sign all of the prints. They are 11x17 posters. They're very nice. They're a checklist of every game we have played from year one with our rating system. And then there's a little box to the right that says you. Just like in the WCW games, it's you, where you could check if you want. You could take a nice silver Sharpie, and you could check which games you like. So if you like that, hop on over.
Now, John, I know that we're super, super hyped and very excited about the fact that this is our 1-year episode. But we did play a game last week, and I think that maybe we should talk about it. We played Big Bang Pro Wrestling for the Neo Geo Pocket, and I wanted to know where you are standing on that game. Are you sticking with your rating? Will you be switching sides?
No, I don't think in the history of this podcast I've switched a rating. I think that's your thing. So I'm sticking with.
You did it once.
I'm sticking with Future Endeavor here.
All right. Well, I'm sticking with my Play It Forever because I thought it was fun.
Now, speaking of switching, we mention all the time our good friend of the pod, avid listener from the beginning, Will McDonough. We make fun of him a lot because he's the Fire Pro nerd of the podcast. He's the one that made fun of me, which kind of drove me to play the game. He did a lot of research here. So while I sat at my desk figuring out the Play It Forever Future Endeavor for every single game, he just goes, hey, I have the spreadsheet. And he had every single game already lined up with who was there. And he has some facts. So I want to read these facts right now about our show.
Wait, are these Will is Ballin' Fast Facts?
Will is Ballin' Fast Facts, but I'm not going to read them fast because, yeah. So, do you know that we have only disagreed on 9 games, which is Day of Reckoning, 2K16, WCW Mayhem, Fire Pro Returns, 3-Count Bout, WCW The Main Event, Shin Nippon 95, WWF Superstars, and Big Bang Pro Wrestling.
I feel like it would be way more than that, but
A little crazy, huh? I feel like a lot of the bad games we just knew were bad, and a lot of the good ones we knew were good.
Yeah, but then there's some games that like you would not expect to be good that I liked and you didn't like. Like, I feel like you would not expect a lot from Big Bang Pro Wrestling, but I was pleasantly surprised last week, and you were just like, not for me.
Yeah, not for me. Also, we really like making our friends play bad games. Of all the times we had guests, there have only been 2 occasions where they have said, play it forever, and that was Nick Stapp playing Backstage Assault, and
God
the Dead Bear,
why.
Bear Bronson, playing Here Comes the Pain. Obviously, I think that was a play it forever across the board. So.
Oh yeah, well that's a gimme.
Yeah, good stat to know though. So thank you, Will, for those stats. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for sticking it out with us, and thank you very much for coming to the live streams, always being so responsive and interactive with us on our Twitter, on Instagram, on everything.
Hey, our fans are great.
I was just gonna say, I want to say special thanks to Will, but honestly, it's everyone. It's
Will. There's Jamie Patterson, like we
Justin
said, WCW
Summers.
Worldwide. Justin Summers, Mr. Wrestling Cheers himself.
MC Conditioner.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, everyone. Everyone, come on, give it up.
Awesome.
Give it up.
Yeah, give yourselves a round. As Leaper said in our interview, give yourself the good old Barry Horowitz, a little pat on the back.
And for all of you guys, our listeners, we are giving away WWF Steel Cage Challenge, the plug and play. All you have to do is leave us an Apple review, screenshot it, and send it to us on Twitter at GameMarksPod. And we're going to pull a winner, and we will send you, this is my version, we will send you my very Steel Cage Challenge. So get on over. Now, George, I think we've talked long enough. Do you want to head over to some gaming news?
Let's do it.
Are you looking to get a better grip on life? How about your video games? Well, VGF Gamers are the largest silicone gaming brand in the USA. They have a variety of different and unique skins for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One controllers and consoles. Check out their products at VGFgamers.com and use code GameMarks to receive 15% off your order at checkout. That's GAMEMARKS at checkout. VGF Gamers. Better grip, better style.
Today, Rocksteady Studios and Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment confirmed that they are working on a new Suicide Squad game. Unfortunately, DC fans will have to wait until August 22nd for DC Fandom to happen to get the reveal and the first details on what is set to be a PS5 and Xbox Series X game. In the meantime, a new report about the game has surfaced, shedding some details on the game's development and release date. Also, a new Game of Thrones game has been revealed and released. More specifically, last week not only did Devolver Digital and developer That Silly Studio reveal Game of Thrones Tale of Crows, but released the game as well. Unfortunately, you will need Apple Arcade subscription to access it, because right now that's the only way to play the game. And at the moment, there's no word if the game is coming to any other platforms, but this is big news for all of you Game of Thrones fans. And that's all the gaming news we have. Thank you for listening to my beautiful voice the past year. See you next week.
Hello, Game Marks Podcast. This is your friend Philip Seymour Cardigan. Just want to wish you guys a happy 1-year anniversary and want to wish you many more years to come. Also reminding you that if you guys need a third person on the podcast, I am very lonely. So, yeah.
Ah, man. I mean, I do want to talk about the gaming news, but have you checked on Phil recently? Something about how our episode with him ended, and then the message that he just sent us has me a little worried. Am I reading this situation correctly? Do we need to go check on him?
I haven't heard from him in a while, but he did deactivate his Friendster account, so I don't know. Maybe we should check on him.
Yeah, maybe in year 2 we need to get him on the podcast more. I'm genuinely concerned for his well-being.
So what about this? Why don't we go over right now to a special edition question of the week?
I'm ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Johnny Clash, and I'm here to tell you that the Game Marks Podcast have their own pro wrestling tee store. Brace yourself, because the Game Marks Podcast are on ProWrestlingTees.com with 4 brand new designs that are guaranteed to be the next big thing. So head on over to ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod today and play it forever. Marks.
Hello, it is I, Boy Orlando, a.k.a. the goatest of all time, and a.k.a. your mom. And why am I here? Oh, Bye-bye, why are you here, Bye-bye? Well, I'm here to wish my friends from the Game Marks Podcast a happy birthday and congratulatory congrats on 1 year anniversary of your podcast. Johnny Clash and George, I don't know your last name, but you guys are really awesome, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my bish heart that you guys had me on the podcast. I had fun, Bobby Jr. had fun, and basically fun is fun, and what's fun is done. Happy 1 year, and here's the many, many more, bish.
All right, so the question of the week is a weekly segment where we go back and forth and ask each other a question, and then we like to propose the question to you. This week, it is Johnny's turn to ask the question. But first, let's touch on last week's question where I asked you, what is your favorite Easter egg in a video game? And boy, oh boy, did we get some great responses. One that jumped out to me immediately that I totally forgot and was front of my mind when I thought of the question, and then once we actually started talking about it, totally left my mind. Psycho Mantis in Metal Gear Solid, where he reads your memory card. How did that not immediately pop out? Also, in Metal Gear Solid 3, the end, where if you change the internal clock on your system, the old man actually will die. It's nuts. It's crazy. It's fun. It's a weird little Easter egg. But the responses that we got on Twitter were even better. There were some that I didn't even know existed. Johnny, what do you got for me?
A lot of people referenced Of Mice and Men in Uncharted 3. I don't know that game, so I'm not sure what that means.
I'll say, you don't know the game Of Mice and Men, or you don't know the game Uncharted 3?
Uncharted 3.
Okay, I'm just making sure that you knew that Of Mice and Men was a book.
Yeah, yes, George. I am educated.
Just hey, I'm just double checking.
I am edumacated.
All right. Have smarts.
Some people agreed with you with the literal Easter egg in Grand Theft Auto, where it just says, what does it say? Like, this is an Easter egg or something? No Easter egg.
Well, no, there is actually a giant egg in one of the games, where it's like a giant Easter egg, and then there's another one in San Andreas. When you go to the top of the bridge, it says, there's no Easter egg here. Go away.
I like that one. There's a grave apparently in the remakes of Final Fantasy that says "Here lies Link."
Oh,
that's a fun one. And something about Conan O'Brien and Andy Richter in Halo, which is hilarious.
All right. Well, like we said this week, it is Johnny's turn to ask the question. So, Mr. Clash, the floor is yours.
Okay, before I go, George, this is a special episode. This is our 1 year episode. I am going to take my turn, but then I'm going to throw it back to you because I want you to ask me a question. It's only fair that on our 1 year anniversary, that we both ask a question.
Oh.
So my question, I usually like to go a little creative, but I'm going to keep it really simple this week. If you were to have one podcast guest on the next year of the show, who do you want? Who's your get?
Oh, do I steal your answer so you can't put it? So you have to come up with something different?
Who would it be?
Well, because, I mean, you've been petitioning since, like, the second or third episode that you want Dixie Carter on the podcast, so do I steal that so you have to say someone else?
Well, I think you should speak from the heart and, not copy me, so.
Honestly, ever since I watched the Twitch stream of this, I had said that I would really like to have this guest on the podcast. and I do believe in some way, shape, or form it may be feasible, but my answer is Mr. Ethan Page. I would also take the North as a whole, but watching that Twitch stream where they played Impact was really fun. I think that having them come on for something like Crush Hour or something, totally ridiculous and over the top, this may go against your rule, but I also would accept them for TNA. I think that would also be acceptable. But that's mine. I mean, the list is endless of who I would want to have on the podcast in terms of guests. But off the top of my head, first person that comes to mind is that honorary mention to all of the Off the Hop Rope guys. I would love to have,
whatever. So obviously, I've said since the podcast started, I want Dixie Carter on this podcast, and I won't play TNA wrestling until it happens. So here's the deal. I've reached out to some people. Dixie Carter is unreachable. She doesn't do podcasts. So I had KM from WrestlePro on the horn. He was trying to make it happen for me. He even said he would book her on a WrestlePro show just to have her not only there, but for me to just do the interview, which would have been awesome. And then I hit up one of my friends who's a promoter that he does like a lot of the autograph signings and stuff. And he said, dude, don't even bother. She doesn't answer messages. She doesn't answer emails. She doesn't answer voicemails. She just doesn't call back. She doesn't want anything to do with any of this. We've petitioned. We've hashtagged the crap out of her. I've sent her messages. I bought her action figure. I bought her action figure, and she sent me a tweet saying I'm so sweet. But that doesn't mean you're coming on the podcast, Dixie. So I'm going to redact my statement. Year 2, I want to play TNA Impact.
Okay.
I want to cross the line. I like what you said. I do like having North, but I still would like to find like someone who is in the game or helped play the game. Unfortunately, most of the people are now in WWE, so that's kind of impossible. But all right, but year 1, my big get, I wanted Justin Leeper, and I think that was my favorite episode of the entire year, I gotta say. But yeah, year 2, I'm happy with someone to play TNA Impact with. But I would like to also get someone more on the development side, like how we had Mike Herman of Retrosoft Studio. I think that would be a lot of fun. But George, what's your question?
All right. Well, that took a weird turn. But my question for you is, so I'm digging through some bins, a little backstory how I came up with this question. Digging through some bins, going through some stuff at my folks' house, and I came across a large selection of wrestling books. So my question to you, Johnny Clash, and the world is, what is your favorite wrestling book that you've ever read? Was it autobiography of some sort? Was it the Complete Idiot's Guide to Pro Wrestling that I have somewhere? Is it just like didn't they come out with like some weird kind of like WWE almanac where it's like every match from like the inception of WWE like to like the year 2000 or something like that, like some crazy almanac of like all the matches or something?
I've read actually quite a bit of the WWE books, WWF books, whatever. I've read the Hardy Boys, Edge, Shawn Michaels, the first one. I never read Mankind or Chris Jericho's, which come highly recommended. So now that we're in quarantine and I have nothing to do, I'm probably gonna track those down. I think that's a good idea. Thanks for reminding me.
Hey, no problem.
Edge's was really good. I have Dr. Tom's Guide to the First Year of Professional Wrestling. That's something that Brian Myers, on our first day of practice, recommended every single student get, and it's been very helpful from the get-go. I even refer back to it like to this day. But I think my favorite wrestling book is a toss-up between Pat Patterson's, which was awesome. Incredible stories. The guy's hilarious. He tells awesome stories from back at the day in the Cow Palace and wherever he's going. Eddie Guerrero's book, I got it after he had passed already. So I think that made it a little more, it just meant a little more. It had the foreword by Vince McMahon in the beginning. And you just read it and you're just thinking like, damn, this guy was awesome. But at the same time, he was broken and damaged. But like, look at all that he did and like the legacy he left behind. So I have to say that like that book was probably my favorite wrestling book I've ever read, and I don't think it could be beat.
All right. I like that.
What about you?
I mean, my answer is easy. I'm a big fan of Have a Nice Day. It was like the first wrestling book that I picked up and got me hooked. I then went on to read The Rock's book and Jericho's book and you know, a bunch of others. But Have a Nice Day will always hold a special place in my heart for it being one of the first ones that I picked up. But with that, what do you say? We get to the juicy gossip for this week. It is now time for the hashtag deep dive.
Hey guys, Johnny here. While we love talking about video games and wrestling here on the podcast, we wanted to share with you a new offer from our friends at Stitcher. An enormous amount of shows and bonus episodes are available on Stitcher Premium, such as Office Ladies, Comedy Bang Bang, WTF with Mark Aaron, How Did This Get Made, Bitch Sesh, True Crime Garage, Marvel's Wolverine, and plenty more. Right now you could sign up for Stitcher Premium for only $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year using our code GameMarksPodcast. That's all one word. Head on over to Stitcher.com/premium for this amazing deal and a free month. That's Stitcher.com/premium and use code GameMarksPodcast. That's all one word. Game on, Marks.
Boys and girls, I have 3 bachelors, 2 masters, and an MBA, and I'm the smartest professional wrestler in the world today. And I'm also the producer of the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast and host of the Off the Hop Rope Podcast. And I'm here to say congrats to Johnny and George for 1 year of episodes. I know how hard that is to do. And just to show up every week and to do your best and to make the best content possible is a very sort of trying, grinding process. So I take my hat off, my graduation cap, to both of you guys for doing that. And Johnny Clash, my former biggest enemy of all time, George, my current biggest enemy of all time, congrats.
All right, Mr. Clash, WCW NWO Revenge for the N64.
Wait, hang on, George. I can't even tell you how excited I am right now. Like, this is like
52 episodes. You've never interrupted me during the intro to the deep dive. This is just
amazing. Like this game is the shit, okay? And it still is the shit, all right? So carry on. Tell us about all the boring stuff, and then let's get into this goddamn game, all right? Let's go.
All right. So, WCW NWO Revenge, released October 26, 1998 for the N64, developed by Aspect Ace Entertainment and AKI, published by THQ. All right, now let's talk about it. So this is the sequel to the first game that we ever played on the podcast. It is the sequel to 1997's WCW vs. NWO World Tour. Came out 4 months after WCW Nitro for the PS1, and we have talked ad nauseum about how confusing and ridiculous that game is. So we're going to move on from that so we don't talk about it for 20 minutes. And WWF Warzone also came out 4 months prior to this game. Now, this game, for the sake of this episode, has almost too much content to talk about. The roster is massive. The features are endless. It's a great game, start to finish. But you know what? This is the Game Marks Podcast, and we don't half-ass anything, so buckle in, guys. Put on those nostalgia goggles. Make sure that your batteries are fresh or you are plugged in, because here we go. We are doing the most in-depth review of this game that is possible. So your game modes are the Championship mode, which you can go for the US title, the Cruiserweight title, the Tag Team title, the World Heavyweight title, and the TV title. You have your Exhibition mode, where you have your singles or your tag match. You have Special Match, where you can have a Battle Royal or a handicap match. And of course, you have your costume change and your options. Ah, man. Okay, quick question for you, John. Your most played game mode is
I liked just doing the either the battle royal, or I like doing a singles match, but turning like everything off, like no DQ, no rope break, kind of like what we did. Just just have fun with it. Just go in the crowd, grab some weapons, just whack the shit out of someone. I'm gonna curse a lot today. This is our anniversary. I'm drinking a Pink Whitney. We're having fun.
Let's do it. Let them fly. Now, I am a battle royal person myself. I like to pick my favorite wrestler, sometimes just a random person, and see how far I can get, if I can make it the entire way through, and just, go crazy. You really want to draw that out? You turn ring out off and weapons on, and then you're sitting there probably for like 45 minutes going through that entire match. It's a lot. Now,
we've all done it.
Now, this game mode, I touched on the championship modes, and with that come some unlockable characters. Would you like to talk about the unlockable characters there, Johnny?
All right, let's talk about these unlockables, because I think they were all people who needed to be in this game, and upon getting this game, you're like, well, why isn't he in here? Which there's actually one noticeable name who's not in this game that I'm going to touch upon after we read the roster. But George, tell us who they are.
So, by completing the Cruiserweight Championship mode, you will unlock Billy Kidman and the TV Championship mode. By completing the U.S. Championship mode, you will unlock Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig and the World Heavyweight Championship mode. Completing the TV Championship mode will unlock Canyon/Mortis. Completing the Tag Team Championship mode will unlock the Faces of Fear, who's Ming and the Barbarian. And completing the World Heavyweight Championship mode will unlock Rowdy Roddy Piper. Now, you said you may have some dirt on someone who was supposed to be in this game, or maybe a little down, a little got the shove. What do you got here?
Ric Flair is not in this game. He was in World Tour, but he was engaged in a legal dispute with Eric Bischoff and WCW for most of the year in 1998. So he actually did return to WCW at the end of the year, but at that time, Revenge was already in the final stages of production, and it was too late to add him back to the game. But that's kind of a big gap to not have Ric Flair in a WCW game. I don't know. I don't know. I would have found a way to at least have him in there, and then cheat code or something.
Yeah, have a wrestler named Fick Rare or something.
Yeah. There's enough. Speaking of, why don't we go through this roster here, because there are some real life Japanese wrestlers that did make it into the game, but because they couldn't actually use their name in like every other WCW game, they change it to uncopyrighted names that are just kind of funny.
Now, there's over 70 wrestlers in this game, so you want to split this off by faction? You do the first section, I'll do the second section, we'll just go back and forth?
Yeah, let's do that. So I can start.
All right.
So NWO Hollywood, we have Hollywood Hogan, The Giant, Bryan Adams, Scott Hall, Scott Norton, Buff Bagwell, Eric Bischoff himself, Scott Steiner, and the unlockable Kurt Hennig.
For the NWO Wolfpack, you have Kevin Nash, Sting, Lex Luger, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Conan.
Now, one of my favorites, Raven's Flock, the guy who actually told us last week that he's on the cover of this game and that we're playing this game. There's Raven, Lodi, Riggs, Sick Boy, Reese, and the unlockable Billy Kidman. One of my favorites.
For WCW, you have Rowdy Roddy Piper, Diamond Dallas Page, Goldberg, Bret Hart, Chris Benoit, Rick Steiner, Fit Finlay, Booker T, Saturn, Disco Inferno, Jim Neidhart, British Bulldog, Glacier, Ming, Van Hammer, Canyon, Yuji Nagata, Larry Zbyszko, The Barbarian, La Parka, Stevie Ray, Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Psychosis, Rey Mysterio Jr., Dean Malenko, Juventud Guerrera, Ultimo Dragon, Chavo Guerrero Jr., and Alex Wright.
Now for EWF, which is completely made up, there's AKI Man, who also turns into THQ Man, who resembles Mitsuharu Masawa. Now there's Shogun, not Mauricio Shogun Rua. He is Toshigaki Kawada. Easy for me to say. Then there's Executioner, who is Kenta Kobashi. Dr. Frank, who's Jumbo Tsuruta. Jekyll, who's Dr. Death Steve Williams. Maya Inkaboy, who is Akira Tao.
For DAW, we have Hawk Hanna, who is Genichiro Tenryu. Kimchi, who is Koji Kitao. Dake Ken, who is Atsushi Onita. Brakowski, who is Kodo Fuyuki. Kodo Fuyuki. Ming Chi, who is Tarzan Goto. And Hanzo Man, who is Hayabusa.
So the cool thing in this game is there's no, well, not cool, there's no creator wrestler, but you have the ability to go through every single wrestler and change their costume, change the colors. You can make anyone NWO or Wolfpack or Raven's Flock if you want by just changing their shirt, but you could actually change their name. So if you want to go to Dake Ken, you could just make his name Atsushi Onita, and now he's in your game as Atsushi Onita. So that's kind of the workaround here. Many people, when we asked on Twitter, said that they just changed Jekyll's name to Dr. Death Steve Williams because why not? He was very loved at the time. But damn, what a roster here. This is a goddamn roster.
Oh, yeah, and technically, we're not even done because there's also managers, man. Like, this game had everything. So, depending on who you play, you actually have a manager come out with you. So, if you are playing as the Faces of Fear, you'll have Jimmy Hart come out with you. If you're playing as DDP, Kimberly Page comes out with you. If you're playing as Eric Bischoff or the Macho Man, guess what? You got Miss Elizabeth coming to the ring with you. If you play as Scott Norton, Scott Steiner, or Brian Adams, Vincent's coming to the ring with you.
The NWO B team.
And if you play as Kurt Hennig, well then Rick Rude will be joining you at ringside. Dusty Rhodes comes out with Scott Hall, and Sonny Ono accompanies Yuji Nagata to the ring. Now, this is a very cool feature that I absolutely made use of as a youth, which as a youth, if you plug in a controller to the third or fourth slot, you are actually able to take control of the manager. So if you didn't quite feel like doing the Battle Royal and you wanted to have a little bit of a different gameplay, this is another way. So you plug in to the third or fourth controller slot, press the Z button on the back of the N64 controller, and voila, you are in control of the manager, which, you know, adds a little bit of fun and just another weird, interesting dynamic to the game.
So I think one of the coolest things here is the costumes in the game. And I think it's just fun because, like, I picked Sting, obviously, during Clash at the Feast. But you could be Crow Sting, you could be Wolfpack Sting, or you could be Surfer Sting, you could be Sting in a trench coat. So every wrestler has 4 slots where they could go and be, say, an older version like Canyon, or you could choose Mortis, AKI Man, or THQ Man, you know?
Scott Steiner has old school long brown hair, Scott Steiner, or Big Papa Pump. Hogan has black and white and red and yellow.
It's a very cool dynamic, which we saw all through these THQ AKI games, all the way up to No Mercy. And No Mercy, you know what? I don't want to get too much into it, but when they added the ref feature, I thought that was really cool because there was a special
cool
ref
feature
match
that
in the game, and they gave everyone the ref top. So,
not to digress. That was super cool.
So, speaking of the costume change before, I posted this on our Facebook post in reply to one of our listeners, but when I got this game, I rebought this a few years ago on eBay because something happened. Either something happened to my old cartridge or I just lost it in like a move or something. I bought the game on eBay. It was fairly cheap, like $5 or $6. I put it into my N64. Now, if you change the costumes in the game, the intro to the game, like say Hulk Hogan in the very beginning, is actually wearing the costume that you changed it to.
Yep.
So that applies to everyone in the intro. I'm like, why is Hulk Hogan pink? This is weird. So now I go into the game. I'm like, I want to look through the roster because it was such a cool roster. I'm looking through every single person. Every single name was changed to a slur or like something really raunchy and horrible, and
Wow.
every single wrestler was pink. Now I'm like, great, I just bought this damn game. I have to go back and I have to individually reset every single wrestler. Luckily in the options,
John,
wait.
I was just say,
Luckily in the
a
options,
reset
yeah, you can reset the entire game. But whoever I bought this game from, lucky for them, I already left them feedback when I got the game and knew that it like worked and everything. I would have went off on them because what they had in this game was so. Oh, I don't even know. I'm not going to say any of what was on there, but it was disgusting.
Do you think they ever played it, or do you think that they also bought it secondhand and they were just like, they put the cartridge in, started it up, saw it worked, and shut it off?
No, I think that they probably did it like when they were younger, like them and their friends like having fun, like, oh, let's just do this name. And then they forgot
cool
about
and
it, and then they're like, oh, hey, let's sell this game, and not realizing that was all on there.
Oh boy. Well, all right. Well, let's jump into like the gameplay of the game itself, because there's a lot to unpack here. So, the championship mode is super, super cool. You fight through a series of matches to, like we said earlier, to unlock a certain wrestler. It's that same, I guess tower is the right word, that tower style where each match is broken up. And at the end, you get that wonderful screen with that iconic drum roll music of you being the champion, which is great.
With a really blurry, trippy camera, yeah.
Yeah, here's another thing that totally slipped my mind. There's a point system.
Yes.
How and a scoreboard. How cool is that?
So I just played through a U.S. title with Bret Hart, and after each match, it shows your score, which is pretty cool. But I think the greatest part was there's no load screens. In between each match, you're going from the first match, you make your entrance. Your opponent makes their entrance. Now, say you win the match, it shows your score. The next guy's making his entrance is coming out. So it's going one after another, all until the end.
Instant action, instant gratification. It's awesome. And like we mentioned before, completing the championship mode will unlock additional titles. You get to see the characters that you won the belts with, standing there looking all proud and happy with the belts on, and obviously unlock characters, unlock 2 additional game modes. It's great. Adds replay value. I will say this, though. The one downside to this game, for me, looking back, having played other games.
Create a wrestler.
See, I'm willing to let that slide.
Oh, all right.
There's not a story mode. The next 2 games after this have a story mode. And I think they're not great story modes, but they're there. They exist. And for me, I always thought that this game would have been so much better if there was some kind of storyline to the championship mode. Just like a small little narrative.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely could see, even like how No Mercy just has a guy talking in the ring sometimes. That could break it up a little bit. I think that would have been cool. But No Mercies was just so developed. It was insane. I don't think I've ever 100%ed the whole thing. I got in like the 90s, but you lose one match accidentally and the branch just veers off. But some of it was broken. Like you could be Viscera and go for like the women's title and go into like the bikini contest and stuff, which was absolutely insane.
Now, in terms of arenas, I mean, where do we start here? You have Monday Night Nitro. You have the Sold Out, which is based off of the Sold Out 98 in the Hara Arena in Dayton, Ohio. You have Super Brawl in the Cow Palace in San Francisco, California. You have, I guess for the sake of this, I'll say the actual name. It's Bash at the Beach from Bash at the Beach 97 at the Ocean Center in Dayton Beach. Dayton? At Daytona Beach in Florida. Halloween Havoc, based on Halloween Havoc 97 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Paradise, Nevada. And Starcade, based on Starcade 97 at the MCI Center in Washington, D.C. And, obviously, we definitely played a lot of the matches at Bash at the Beach because that's what we do here.
It was so cool seeing like Nitro back in a video game. Just the set itself, like everything about this just looks so cool. But let's get into that. Let's get into like the crowd and the artwork, because I think that the AKI games get a lot of flack for the character models looking a little cartoony. They don't look very realistic. I think the faces always look the most realistic and then just kind of like stretched. Like I think Goldberg actually he looked probably like the worst. And
Yeah.
like his head shape is kind of weird. He has kind of like a Stone Cold body, and then his face is just really small. It just doesn't look like Goldberg. I think probably in the lower out of all of them in this game. He looks very short.
Yeah,
But
I feel like my biggest complaint about the heads was always the polygon count, and that's just like me nitpicking. Really, you have like the head shape, which is a couple dozen polygons. You have the shape of the nose again, a couple dozen polygons. I feel like just adding a little bit, obviously with like how we've talked about it before, how many emulators and mods for this series of game have come out. Obviously, they've done things to greatly improve the quality and the models of them, but not too much because that's part of the charm of the game. But if we are nitpicking some things here, I would say the models left a little bit to be desired, and I guess the crowd is another thing I never was super crazy about in this game.
yeah, very papery. They look like just paper cutouts that just moved back and forth. But I kind of like them because they looked like, like it was actual like crowd footage kind of. It looked like that. Just moved back and forth.
The arenas always looks really solid too. Like you touched on it before, but like
stages
they all
were
look
sick.
so great. I think Nitro was the best looking one out of all of them, honestly.
Oh yeah,
Halloween Havoc's also really great.
I liked the Nitro. Like they didn't take anything out. Like sometimes you get a game, it doesn't look like the actual arena because it's older, but they gave us like the full Nitro arena with like the flame mats on the outside and everything. Really cool.
Yeah. Now, in terms of Easter eggs, I guess there are some. I mean, we talked some about I guess you could say like those secret costumes could kind of be some Easter eggs, like classic Rick Steiner or red and yellow Hulk Hogan, but there's actually some weapon Easter eggs. So, I mean, the big obvious one would be La Parka and Sting. Sting starts the match with a bat, and La Parka always starts with a chair, which is super cool. But if you're also playing as Dake Ken, whenever you go to the crowd to get a weapon, it will always be a large yellow mallet, which is very interesting. I don't know why. I can't say that I've ever understood this reference, but hey, it was there. It happened. And John, you know what? You're the one who told me about this one, so I'm going to let you take the next little Easter egg.
This one actually came up on Instagram the other day, and I searched it afterwards. So when you first turn the game on, you have that beautiful short FMV, which we all love, with Sting going against the truck driver, and we still don't know what his vendetta was against that truck driver.
That truck driver has the Ming face, I swear.
Maybe it's Rikishi or Triple H, with the glove.
Oh!
He did it for the people.
I did it for The Rock.
So after you watch the movie, don't press any buttons. You see the NWO in a room talking. You quickly press the A button, and all of the belts turn silver. Now to turn them back, you have to go into championship mode and exit it, and all the belts will be back to normal. Kind of a weird feature, but just a little Easter egg. But let's go back to the weapons real quick, because everyone I think would be used to, say, like the No Mercy weapons, where it's the classic stop sign and Cactus Jack's thing and blah, 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 the Rock's book. But you grab like a stop sign, you grab the bat. As soon as you get hit in the ring, they don't fall down. You can't pick them up again. They're just gone.
I gotta say, so that's something that always bothered me as a kid, but got remedied later on, and it's kind of one of those things where you didn't know how bad it was until they fixed it. Like, it never bothered me as a kid. I was totally fine with it. And then in No Mercy, suddenly, when weapons were dropped, you could pick them back up, and I was like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. How did I not know that this was? How did I not know that this was not a feature already? That's so great.
It just makes sense though. Like, why wouldn't it be there anymore? Like, why is it gone?
Well, because then it makes sense from a processing standpoint. Well, then the game has to like process another asset the entire time that the match is going on, and collision and blah 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 blah. It's a lot. But Johnny,
George,
we got to talk about something very very important right now.
Okay.
This may be one of, if not the most iconic N64 game cover arts in the history of the console.
It's been parodied. We've parodied it. We've parodied.
I think there's more D's. Maybe it's like parodied.
We parodied it.
Like the pre-show. It's a parody DDD.
This is the cover. This is the iconic cover.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's amazing. There's nothing better. You have your WCW NWO Revenge logo. You have Hogan pointing at Goldberg. You have Goldberg, obviously. You have Kevin Nash and Raven, which we learned not too long ago. Raven is on this cover because the guy who made the artwork liked Raven. And that's it. Raven didn't even know that he was on it. So, pretty awesome.
That's it.
Pretty great. It's pretty awesome. Now, here's something that I don't think we touch on enough about the N64 games. How great was that little fold down with the Only for N64 logo? How great was that? That's such like a cool thing.
It's iconic. It's like a typical Nintendo iconic thing for their artwork. And I like that it's actually an N64 sports logo. This is considered a sports game.
Yeah. This game, so great, so amazing, so iconic. Back cover, so just like we talked about with so many other games, tons of screenshots for the game. More than 60 wrestlers, including all of the top WCW and NWO superstars. More hidden weapons, instant replay, complete updated roster, real pay-per-view arenas, wrestler entrances, all the real WCW belts, and complete costume edit save changes to the battery. Now, we have talked about the batteries before. This falls under the slightly better capabilities and shelf life of those batteries. Now,
but still kind of broken.
Yep, on the back, again, revenge is just too sweet.
I think that's going to be the moniker for Clash at the Feast Season 2.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. See what you're picking up what you're putting down there. But with that, Johnny, what do you say we hop right on into some fast facts, some Game Marks Pod fast facts. Take us away.
According to a 1999 article by IGN, Revenge was the best-selling wrestling game for the N64 console, and at the time was the top-selling third-party Nintendo game ever.
Revenge was the last AKI-developed WCW game for the N64. The next AKI wrestling game released for the console, WWF WrestleMania 2000, sported THQ's newly acquired World Wrestling Federation license.
Now, to see Sting come down from the ceiling. Go to Battle Royal, pick any number above 4 wrestlers. The higher the number, the better chances, and pick anyone but Sting. Then, when you get someone out of the ring and Sting enters, he will drop down from the ceiling with the bat.
The game files exist, but not programmed into the game is Wrath. He is only unlockable by using a Game Shark or Game Genie device.
Alright, see, so I think Ric Flair should have been programmed into the game, and then that would have been the way to unlock him if they settled it all. If they didn't settle it all, just don't put out the code.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I actually was playing, like I said, the U.S. title championship. I was Bret Hart, and I don't remember who I was against, but Sting just dropped down from the ceiling. I was like, my controls are a little weird right now. They kind of like inverted and the camera shifted. I had no idea what the hell was going on. And Sting just dropped down from the ceiling and started beating the crap out of me with the bat. I was like, whoa, okay.
Oh, a little running from your boy.
Yeah, it was kind of heartbreaking, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, I still won.
I see what you did there. It was heartbreaking. I got it. I see what you did.
Picking up what I'm putting down. All right, a little story from back in the day when this game came out. I remember going to the bathroom in elementary school because when you're in elementary school, your friends aren't in your classes. You only see them at recess and that's it. So maybe sometimes you'd be like, hey, 2:00, let's all meet in the bathroom. So we all met in. There was like a big group. We were all talking about this game. Now, I didn't have the game yet. So I was like, guys, someone just tell me. Does Sting drop down from the ceiling? Does Sting have the bat? They're like, yeah. He starts with the bat in the ring. That's all I cared about. And I think the main reason I got this game was just because I wanted to see Sting drop down from the ceiling. So when it happened to me 2 days ago when I was playing this game, and when it happened to me today, it was just like, this is it. This is just all I've ever wanted.
I have so many questions about that story. Mainly that you were arranging meetings with other children in a bathroom.
I mean, I was a child too, George.
No, I know, but what elementary school child is that coordinated to be like, okay, boys, 2:00, men's bathroom, we're going to talk about wrestling video games? Like,
oh, we always did that. We would just hang out for a little bit.
It's so complicated. I don't think my brain could have done that. My brain was not that developed.
Well, that's the difference between me and you, I guess.
To be like, all right, secret meeting at 2:00 in the men's bathroom.
All right, George, you're looking a little tense. I mean, do you need a little, a little R&R?
Yeah, I'm a little afraid Chris Hansen's going to pop up any minute now. So let's move on.
All right, IGN gives this game an 8 out of 10. IMDb, they make a return, gives this game an 8.4 out of 10. Next Generation with a 4 out of 5 stars. GameSpot a 7.2 out of 10 with the user rating of an 8.1 out of 10. Now, the game was criticized for lacking in the sound department, largely in part to the restrictions of the N64 cartridge. Now, we saw that with Warzone and a bunch of other games, how they just don't have the actual music programmed in. It just took up too much space on the cartridge. Too much space on the cartridge. So the entrances consisted of a few different MIDI sound clips. There wasn't that much variety, and they didn't sound like the wrestler theme songs. The game also featured no commentary and no specific entrance theme at all. So, say you're Scott Hall, you're getting the same music as Lodi, or vice versa, whatever. The only song I believe that was in the game was the WCW Nitro theme song. That was MIDI'd at the end of the matches. Now, the other criticism was...
Is this the obligated... Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Other criticism: collision detection remained an issue as in World Tour, though collision detection Though collision detection had been improved, many reviews claimed of issues with floating limbs and bodies. The game was criticized as being too similar to World Tour. Well, no shit. Of course it was. It was the sequel. It's just an upgraded version of World Tour. I mean, what more do you want? World Tour was a great game. I know I future endeavored it because I love this game so much. That's why. Why can't you see the way I see things, IMDb?
Oh my god.
But overall, this game was very well received, sold very well, and looking at the ratings and reviews, they're pretty damn good. Probably one of the best we've covered so far.
Now, here's the thing. We haven't been able to do this in a while, but an IMDb, your IMDb rating, that's pretty great. I'm a big fan of those IMDb video game ratings for some reason. They always make me laugh. I don't know why. I don't know why it makes me laugh and brings such a smile to my face, but it does. I think it's ridiculous and it's hilarious.
All right, George. With that, we've concluded year 1 of Clash at the Feast. And it did not disappoint to the mantra of the entire year. So take it away.
So are we going with the mantra of the first year of the podcast being I'm just really good at video games?
Yes, and my vow for the year 2 that we never hear that phrase happen ever again.
Okay. We'll see.
What's up, Game Marks Podcast? This is Danny Tancredi, and I'm here with my brother Johnny Tancredi, and together we are the Cult Looking Podcast. Each week we bring to you the latest news and reviews on all things baseball collectibles.
From baseball cards and memorabilia to bobbleheads and stadium giveaways, each episode will discuss the newest products to hit the shelves of your local card store and your favorite ballparks around the country.
Be sure to be following us on Instagram at the Cult Looking Podcast and on Twitter at CultLookingBB.
New episodes drop every Friday, so be sure to tune in wherever great podcasts like this one are available.
The Caught Looking Podcast. Don't get caught looking, start collecting.
Hey guys, Swoggle here. I just wanted to say congratulations, George and Johnny, on a year of the Game Marks podcast. Keep it up, guys. You guys are doing absolutely amazing.
All right, well, we decided to do a best 2 out of 3 classic. Been a while since we've done one of those. So, first match, I picked my tried and true Scott Hall, and Johnny, not missing a beat, also picked his tried and true Mr. Steve Borden himself, Sting.
Surfer Sting in the lime green.
Surfer Sting. Yeah, I won that first match. That was big choke slam. You had a run in from Lex Luger.
Lex Luger tried to help me. It was a good back and forth. We both hit our finishers.
Yeah, it was good. It was very, very good. That was good. Good back and forth. A little battle outside the ring. So I took that first one, and then I was really trying to seal the second match. So I left nothing to chance here. I knew exactly what I had to do. So I picked my childhood, tried and true, never lost as this man, one of my favorite childhood wrestlers, and that would be Canyon/Mortis. Johnny Clash, let the people know who you went with.
I chose the man who I had the poster over my wall as a child that said Big Sexy, which was really weird now that I think about it. I don't know what my mother thought back in the day, but I chose Kevin Nash. And I had a run-in again this time by, who was it, Sick Boy?
No, you had Scotty Riggs.
Scotty Riggs ran in on my behalf, weirdly enough. I don't know why it wasn't Scott Hall or... Oh, actually, no, they're separate in this game. I don't know why it wasn't Sting or Conan or someone.
I can tell you right now why. Is because Canyon/Mortis is in the feud with Raven's Flock.
Yeah, but
the time setting of this game. So it's not... It does... No, but the run-in doesn't count, I guess. Yeah, no, that makes sense, because Lex Luger would run in on Scott Hall because it's NWO Red versus NWO White.
I gotcha. I thought it was like,
so that makes sense.
Tag team
it's not based off.
Yeah.
It's not based off of who you are. It's based off who I am and who I storyline at the time and feuding with.
I gotcha. Okay. But
either way, you had another run-in, and unfortunately, that one didn't go your way either, which means I won that one, and there was no third match because you're. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. Your Clash at the Feast winner for this weekend, year one. Just put the stamp on it. Signed, sealed, delivered. Mr. George Feast. And for the last time this year. Because by the way, next year I've got new music.
Ooh. Play
my music for the last time.
All right. You're just really good at video games, but Clash at the Feast Season 2. Revenge is just too sweet. Now, I was nice enough. I knew you won. It was settled like 10 weeks ago. I went out and I got you this pretty little spinner belt with the Clash at the Feast logo. It is it is bedazzled to the nines. George, when I finally see you, whenever that may be, I'm going to hand you this belt from 6 feet apart and social distance, and it will be yours.
Can you hold it up to the camera just one more time so I can see it?
It kind of spins. I mean, when I got it, it didn't really spin, so now that I added something on top, it still doesn't spin. But so, year 2, season 2 of Clash at the Feast, we're going to come at you with different rules. It's not going to be a year long. I think we're going to do it in sections, kind of like a little quarterly thing, or maybe every few weeks, every few wins. But the new rules will be revealed next week, along with the new format for it. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Now, George, I wanted to read some of the tweets when I asked the fans for some memories of this game, because there was a lot, and they were all pretty damn good.
Oh boy, was there a lot. There was so much. It was probably the best Twitter interaction that we've ever had, and I was so excited about it because I love when because I'm being more active on Twitter. That's my new thing.
You've kicked it up to 4, George.
It was, oh man, turning it up to 4. But it was really cool to see everyone's feelings and thoughts on this. All their childhood memories was great. A lot of them had memories of playing with friends and siblings and stuff, and obviously those are the kind of memories that I have as well. So it's nice to see that there were so many like-minded people who had a similar experience.
All right, so let's read some. So Ashes in the Snow _ I remember being really good at this game, and I would destroy my friends with Alex Wright and piss them off. Now, Juan Chupacabra. There's this glitch in tag team matches where if you lock in the rings of Saturn, the hold is unbreakable. If your partner comes in and stomps, nothing happens. You just gotta hope for the hold to fail or a rope break. And to this day, I still love the look on people's face dropping with early game PTSD flashback when I reveal this to them. So many people just didn't know. I didn't know that either. I never played with Saturn. However,
no,
there was a glitch in No Mercy too, where if you just held A and B with Saturn, he did the spin kick, and if you went in a battle royal, he was untouchable and he would just eliminate everyone.
Yes, I do remember that. With the crescent kick, right?
Yeah. Now, T-Bone 43, biggest piss off was the fact that you could be pulled under the bottom rope by an eliminated wrestler to lose a battle royal.
Yes, the worst.
Mario U comments, says, laughing at how uninterested Kevin Nash is to be on the game poster. He's just kind of looking up like, why am I here? Hank 503, best Raven entrance. I turned Fit Finley into the Sandman, LOL. That's a good one. I can see that happening. Because you can't, change the hair that much. I tried to make GMP Man out of, Hayabusa, and you just change the color. I think the best one I got was Ultimo Dragon with a red mask, and I put Booker T's, singlet on him, and that looked, I think, the best, but you can't fully customize the costumes.
Yeah. D Silv 452434 says best game ever, straight up.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good one. Mike Campbell 411 says my friend and I frequently use the tag team of the Chi brothers, Kim and Ming.
Now, friend of the pod, Will is ballin'. This is probably a good spot to share this, he writes. And he has a autographed picture of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash doing their entrance in this game, which is pretty damn cool. That's a cool piece to own.
Yeah, that's super awesome. That I kind of popped a little bit for that picture. That was awesome.
I would love something like that. A lot of people say, this is the first game they bought for the N64, and this is the game that made them fall in love with either wrestling or wrestling video games. So I think that's cool, and I think that is something that this game is actually known for. This is pinnacle time of when people, at least our age, kind of fell in love with wrestling. I mean, this is where I started, WCW. I wasn't a WWF kid.
Oh, yeah. Here's something, I guess a negative. Scurv81 says, Hogan's special is travesty. And you know what? They're not wrong. It's not the leg drop, although it is, but it's not right. No. Leg drops in the game, you could do it, but it's not how it's supposed to be.
That was the thing with a lot of them, like Sting and Bret Hart. You do this weird spine buster into the Scorpion Deathlock and the Sharpshooter, but you also have those as just your generic submission hold when you press A.
Yeah, who did I play as that had the figure 4? And I was like, that's such a weird. Oh, Kim Chi or Ming Chi or one of them has the figure 4 as their finisher, but. No, but very few people have the figure 4 in. So it's it's in the game. Just put Ric Flair in the game.
Yeah. Well, I guess they prepped for it, but it didn't happen. But thank you guys for interacting with us. As always, we love to hear it. So keep it up, guys. Thank you very much. So, George, our 1-year episode is wrapping up, but do you happen to know what time it is?
Currently, as we were recording, it is about 10 to midnight.
Is that why you're looking a little tired there? But no, it's time to rate the game.
The game!
Oh, George Feast. WCW NWO Revenge.
Will you play it forever or future endeavor, brother?
No, we're not even doing this. We both know what we're saying here. We're skipping it this week. We both know.
For nostalgia reasons of the 1 year of the podcast, you tell me right now what your rating is.
I will forever and always play this game forever. At this point, I feel like I have played it forever because I've literally played it maybe once, twice, probably more a year since it came out.
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to future. Never mind.
Bullshit.
Let's play it forever.
Bullshit. Your future endeavor in this game.
No, seriously, like you said, this is one of those games that you will literally play it forever. Just playing it 2 days ago, when I know I've played it a year ago, I just got giddy. I just got excited. You got to just skim through the whole roster. You got to play a couple games. This is the best game in the world. Play it forever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Wait, hang on. Because Ric Flair's not in the game, do we still add the woo in, or should we add something else?
Oh, give me a chi. Give me a kimchi. Chi!
Hello, it's friend of the show, Nick Stapp. Just wanted to wish John and George, the Game Marks podcast, a very happy and healthy 1 year anniversary. I've gotten a lot of enjoyment. I've listened to this podcast. As you guys know, my nostalgia goggles are always on. I'm always down. I'll take any excuse to play Backstage Assault, basically. I just wish that John and George would up their married couple energy in their second year of podcasting. Anyway, so I was asked to give an amusing anecdote about playing in WCW NWO Revenge, which I actually do have one in particular. Probably about mid-1999, I was over at my friend Pete's house. He had broken his leg ice skating, so I was over there every day, pretty much keep him company and play N64. I've never been good at one-on-one video games because I'm a sore loser, so I picked Sting, and he picked like Disco Inferno or some schlub like that. 2 seconds into the match, running Yakuza kick from Disco Inferno, Sting is KO dead on the floor, and I was like, all right, man, I gotta go. Anyway, thanks, guys. See you later, baby girl. Love you.
So, in lieu of this being the 1 year special, and that we are already about an hour, maybe over an hour in by now, I'm going to say collapsible seg this week for Johnny Fire Pro. If you don't have a major update, and all you've been doing is creating stuff, or you're still working on stuff, which I'm assuming, collapsible seg this week?
Yeah, my kilo's almost gold in Warzone, I'll say that.
All right, cool. So we'll come back to Johnny Fire Pro next week.
Yeah, skip it. But
here's the thing. So this is we're wrapping up the podcast. This is I'm surprised, honestly, that this isn't longer than it is right now, but I do want to talk very briefly, or we can get long-winded if you want, John. Just what are some goals that you have? Like, because when we started this podcast, we had said that, there were certain things that we wanted to do, certain things that we didn't want to do. We didn't want to be that pitchy podcast because we knew that we were going to try to get some sponsors and try to, try to, at the end of the day, this is a business. But we don't want it to be a situation where it's just a constant pitch fest. We want to be able to bring you guys stuff that we also use. That's why we use Stitcher Premium. It's why we use VGF Gamers. It's why we obviously we use Pro Wrestling Tees to get our shirts and get each other's shirts and support our friends.
Oh, we get just as excited posting the shirts as we do buying them. Like, we're like, oh, look at this.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm going to buy 3 of those. I'm like, wait, but I have those. You don't have to buy them on the website. Like,
yeah. So the goal, we had goals when we started this podcast, and now that we're a year in, I wanted to ask you if, there's new goals for years 2. Like, where do you want to go this next year? This is, we're seasoned podcasters now. We're 52 episodes in. The next milestone is 100 episodes.
Oh, wow. It really is. But I just want to keep doing what we're doing. I like our guest episodes. What I really want to do is expand Gamebury this year. I want to donate even more to wherever we choose. There's obviously a lot more charities that need help this year than last year. I definitely want to expand that. I definitely want more guests. I want to keep doing what we're doing. I want to take our first few episodes, maybe have a guest, and revisit those. Remaster them, I shall say. And kind of just go back in our, now we've had a format for the past majority of the year. The ones that didn't have that, I want to go back. I want to do them over again. We're obviously going to have the same ratings, but I want to give them a remastered version per se. What about you?
All right. I mean, talking about sponsors and stuff like that, obviously bigger and better stuff. Any time that we can get our listeners, ourselves, because like I said, we use all the stuff that we get. We're not just here like shilling products for no reason. We use the things that we talk about. I would love to be able to get bigger and better stuff to try to bring more savings and deals to everybody, just because I know gaming stuff is super expensive. So anywhere that we can leverage the podcast to try to help people out, I think is great, especially now when, you have people being furloughed and, people are spending more time putting wear and tear on their gaming peripherals and consoles and controllers and all that stuff, putting more of a wear and tear on those than they normally would. So anything that we could do to help that. And then obviously, I want to do more stuff on YouTube. I want to do more stuff on Twitch. I want to have more guest episodes. I want to, have maybe more segments in the show where we do fun and creative and interesting stuff. I want to interact with more of our listeners on Twitter because, year two.
Turning it up to 5. I get it.
Yeah. Oh, we're up now. Before it was 4. Now we're cranking it up to 5.
Year 2, you're going to go up to 5.
It's great. I'm very excited. Maybe we'll go up to 7. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I want to take what we're doing. This is a good analogy. I want to take what we did in year 1. I don't want to turn that up to 11.
Yes.
Because I think that we were at a steady 10 for the entire first year. I think we can go bigger. I think we can crank that up. We can break that knob and go a little bit farther.
Let's do it, baby. Let's go. We're here, George. We're here for the long run. Let's play every single game that was ever made and then play them all again.
All right. So keep listening to the Game Marks podcast. We'll be going until the year 3025. So I think that's enough time to cover at least half of every game ever released. So we'll be good.
But George, the celebration is coming to an end. Why don't you tell us what we're playing next week on the podcast?
Oh, John.
Oh, no, I hate that voice. What do you got for me?
Celebration is only beginning, my friend, because next week on the podcast, we are doing a sequel to one of our favorite episodes. When we play Def Jam Fight for New York.
Oh, man. Crow, I'm coming for you. Oh, my God. I'm excited. Let's go.
Man. I mean, let's switch something up here. John, do you want to read the outro this week and then I'll say goodbye, or do you want to?
Yeah. Let's see how this works. All right. That's going to do it for us this week on the Game Marks podcast. Please check out our Pro Wrestling Tee store at prowrestlingtees.com/GameMarksPod. It's currently the best way, besides listening, to support the podcast, and be sure to follow us on social media at GameMarksPod. Leave us a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to us wherever great podcasts can be found. Thank you all for hanging out with us this week. Thank you all for hanging out with us the past year. Thank you to our listeners, our sponsors, except Galvanized Grips. Fuck you guys. We love you all. We can't wait for year 2. And with that, George, say goodbye.
I was so not expecting you to say that. Oh, man. Game over. Marks.
Game Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.